Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. We are in BT15.
I'm so excited for this
Oh
set.
my God, we have all the deck profiles for
We
you guys.
do.
What do you got for us first?
I got a new Phoenix Mon update for everybody.
There we go.
I think people liked my last Phoenix Mon video deck profile. I think it's gotten a lot of good pieces, and you know I was tempted to do a deck profile right when Saber Dramon came out, but ultimately we're getting a whole new line. We just gotta wait.
More birds.
Let's dive into this deck, shall we? So I'm going to start off with the egg. This is a brand new egg that finally replaces, you know, in my opinion, the previous Yokomon from BT11 and even the Koromon that was used a lot in red decks. And this is very nice for this deck. Has the inheritable of on deletion, return one Digimon card with avian, bird, beast, animal, sovereign, not sea animal.
Yep.
From now on, I'm just going to say bird stuff when that phrase is there to speed up the video for everyone. And one of its traits from your trash to the hand. So you swing, you die. What's really nice is this deck can now recycle almost everything in it.
Just crazy in
reuse
red.
multiple times. It's like this is like a purple deck now. Part of the reason I really like this deck. So then let's talk about the first super rare Biomon we got. This is the new addition to the deck. I'm playing 4 of. I absolutely love this card. To me, it's one of those that you first read it and you're like, wow, it's good. And then you use it and you're like, it's better than how good
really
I thought
good,
it was.
yeah.
Start a main by trashing one Digimon card with bird stuff, not sea animal stuff, right? You can reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 red card. Doesn't say vaccine, doesn't say bird stuff, doesn't say Digimon, doesn't say, it says red card, whatever you want. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. So a lot of people in Japan right now are starting to call this deck like Biomon Rush.
Oh, okay.
And they're playing, you know, a little bit different ratios than I'm playing. I'm kind of going up that more traditional Phoenix stack that I really enjoy. But this is such a good card for the deck. It gets pieces in the trash. You can grab them back with the inheritable of this Yokomon, and there's even a new level 4 that can grab you the piece that you recycled. So if you want to start doing some cool combos, you really can. This is probably the most combo-based red deck I've seen.
Yeah.
It has a lot of sneaky things you wouldn't think you can do.
Especially, I mean, we'll get to it, but that Tamer.
Tamer, right? Especially with how
baby.
you play it. It's inheritable, your turn, once per turn, which is interesting that it's not an on-deletion effect like the rest of the deck has been, but that's okay. When a card is removed from your security stack, gain 1 memory. So it's really nice to be able to gain some memory, start going that way. And then I'm back to the tried and true, the BT11 Biomon.
Yep.
This was kind of a staple in the deck for a while. It's on play, real top 3, add 1 Digimon card with vaccine in its traits and 1 red tamer. So that one is a little bit more specific for what you grab, but you have tons of search in this deck.
Yeah.
On deletion, if you have a red tamer, gain 1 memory. And there's ways in this deck to make on deletion trigger at different timings, right?
Yep.
And then finally, I can replace the EX1 Biomon in my Phoenix Mon deck.
No.
As much as I love that draw engine, it is really nice when you just need the pieces. I think these are the best Biomons that we have. So this one, on play, if played by an effect, by returning 1 Chrissy Damon, there might be one in this deck, hint, hint.
Ooh.
This Digimon may warp into Garudamon in the hand, ignoring its Digivolution requirements.
I remember
and
that.
without playing the cost. Also, on deletion, draw 1. So, tons of versatility, tons of cool little tricks. This Biomon comes, you know, let's just say you start setting up stacks and all of a sudden they pop a stack. Now you're back to a Garudamon because you played that and warped. So it's really interesting how it works.
So running the full 12 rookies.
I'm running the full 12.
I like
do
it.
think you could make the argument to go down to 11. I've seen a lot of lists, you know, and you could cut that Biomon if you really wanted to, but I think I like the way
It's
I
good
got
for
it built.
consistency,
Keeping
yeah.
those ratios the way I like them.
It's always nice when you have an archetype that has such a good rookie. You're like, I'm just playing 4, 4, and 4, and I'm going to deal with
And
it.
I don't think I ever thought Biomon was going to be
No,
an archetype.
I never
was
thought
gonna
they'd get
have
a secret
that,
rare,
right?
or a super rare.
A super rare,
Yeah.
right? Can't
wild.
wait. Anyway, so this is the BT11 Birdramon.
Okay.
This is still kind of the mandatory 4 of, in my opinion. It's a blocker. It's a 5K. This deck can play Digimon with certain DP numbers. So you want to be able to trigger those numbers, right? So like that's a 1K, really easy to trigger, 1K. This one's a 1K. Those are all, you know, you don't have to have necessarily any crazy setup for those. You do need to have probably 1 Tamer with our combo just to trigger the Birdramon blocker being played. You know, sometimes just having a sneaky blocker that you can hard play is never the end of the world either.
Yep.
So I'm a big fan of this card, and it has a really good inheritable of on deletion. You may play 1 red tamer at the play cost of 4 or less.
Sure.
I do think this card would be a lot worse if it was a 3 cost.
Yeah.
It said instead of 4, but it's great. And again, This deck, if you've played the Phoenix, you know there are ways to trigger the on deletion while your stack is still on the board, not deleted.
Yep.
So that's a great card. This is one that I was toying with, and I could easily see why you'd make the argument to go up to 4 of or even down to 2 of, because I'm honestly right in the middle. I'm at 3. When Digivolving, return 1 red Digimon with bird stuff, not sea animal stuff, from the trash to your hand. So I really like pairing this with that Beelmon, which is why this is the brand new one from BT15.
Had that in my pre-release deck.
It's a great card. It really
good.
helps kind of recycle pieces that you may need, whether it's 3 to get your next stack going in the future, whether it's, you know, a Phoenix, whether it's a Garuda Ace to be sneaky, even just play mind games if you pick up the Garuda Ace with no intention of using it, right? So I really like what this card does to the deck. The Inheritable is, again, your turn. Once per turn, you gain a memory when the card is removed from security, so it pairs with that Beelmon.
Hell yeah.
The reason why I'm not at a 4 of is because I really wanted to fit in a wonderful new promo card that is just broken. That is Saberdramon. He's a vaccine, even though he looks like he'd be a virus.
Yep.
It's crazy. I love it.
A vaccine with retail? That's interesting.
Raid, retaliation, vaccine, red, and it's a 5K, right? So for the combos of what Phoenix Mon, when they can play free bodies, this deck can give them rush as well. So now all of a sudden you can swing raid, retaliation, rush. We're talking about the 3 Rs, baby.
Crazy keyword combo.
Yeah. This deck has a lot of sneaky removal, is the way I like to think of it, where you just look at this list and you're like, man, you're not really playing like crazy options or anything like that. But it can fool you. It can definitely fool you. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, where things start getting a little interesting. Not that the rest of the deck hasn't been interesting. It's just like the ratios of how many Garudamons do you want to play.
Yeah, you're starting to get so many options in each of these categories.
And next set, we get Garudamon X Antibody, and that really changes things even more, right?
Stay tuned for the video.
Stay tuned, everybody. On play, when Digivolving, you may play 1 red tamer at the play cost of 3 or less. So I think they knew not to make this too broken, but making not a 4 cost.
Can't play the Sora with it.
Yep, but it also has the on deletion, return 1 red or purple trash from hand of Saberdramon. This one is on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. Great on deletions. What I really like about this Phoenix Mon deck is you end up building a stack, and then you can kind of choose which on deletion effect you want to trigger. So it's almost like a toolbox, the way that purple was meant to be played.
It's very versatile.
Very versatile. So the reason this is a 4 of is because you want to like accelerate these tamers. You got tamers that do a lot of key pieces in the deck when you're Digivolving, when you hard play them with the abilities, right? And then you don't necessarily want a full 4 of this, but I think 3 is a good number as well for Garudamon Ace.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of those, like, you first think of it, man, you're playing too many. You know, maybe you think 2, but I think this is kind of a core piece of the deck. It is a nice 4-drop, and it is on play and when Digivolving, being able to play a play cost 4 or less tamer from your hand without paying the play cost. And it has another ability. All turns, once per turn, when one of your tamers is played, it doesn't say specifically by an effect if it comes out of security, you know, however a tamer gets played. Right? Whether it's you warp on a Beelmon into this, right? There's all sorts of cool little tricks that you can do. You delete one of your opponent's Digimon with blocker. Doesn't say blocker with 11k or less. Doesn't say level 3 blocker. It just says with blocker. So you can do some sneaky removal and get some tamer acceleration going on with this card. And again, I just think having a good ace in this deck, especially because this deck does play a lot of free bodies where you can kind of bait your opponent to swing in with that ace, is really nice.
I think a lot of value comes out of that because, I mean, you're playing it for 4. So for 4 cost, you get to have a level 5 presence on the board. You get to play a tamer, and you get to delete something with the blocker. So just for 4 memory. So I think it's totally worth the overflow.
I think so too. The overflow 3 is not nearly
Who
as
cares?
bad as overflow 4. I am playing 1 of this Garudamon blocker just because I felt like I didn't need 4 of the ace. You can easily go to 4 of the ace and 4 of that and not have this. This is just 1 extra blocker, and I do like the on deletion of this, similar to the BT11 Birdramon, where he gets to play a 4-cost tamer. So you can really accelerate the tamer engine and stuff like that. You could maybe do 3 of that, 3 of that, 2 of that, right, if you really wanted to. This is where I'm sticking. This is where I think I like
the
it.
aggression of the ace.
I do think that next set, when we do get Garuda Ace, you go Garudamon X Antibody. You go 4 Garuda X Antibody, maybe 2 and 2 of this, and this one kind of gets phased out. But time will tell. Spoilers. And then this is the boss of the deck. I think this stays the same from how it was last time. BT11 Phoenix Mon.
So sticking with the 11 is the main protagonist.
I am. I think this one's really good. your turn. Once per turn, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack. So we've seen some synergy with the whole security stack removal, whether it's gaining memory, whatever. You can activate an on-deletion effect of your sources, right? Or of this Digimon himself.
Because he has, what, 3 by himself?
He has 1 by himself.
Oh,
you may play 1 red Digimon with bird stuff, not sea stuff, right?
Yeah.
And 3,000 DP or less. However, for each tamer you have, you add 2K.
Yeah.
So then that makes it where 1 tamer allows you to play a Birdramon, a Saberdramon for free. 2 tamers lets you play one of these Garudamons being 7K, right? Or even another Phoenixmon that we are in fact playing.
Ah, there it is.
So this is a tough call whether you want to do 3 and 3, whether you want to do 4 and 3 and maybe cut a tamer that I'm playing, because I am playing a lot of tamers.
Yeah.
To fit in another one of this Phoenixmon, because I do like it, but I still think that this main Phoenixmon is my favorite.
I think so too. I think.
And then Phoenixmon X Antibody, I feel like just kind of takes this spot anyways. So this really just took the spot of EX1 Phoenix that I was playing for a while. On play, which is nice having it on play with the fact that we can play Phoenixmon for free, right? Yeah. On deletion, if your opponent has fewer security cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP.
Yep.
Or excuse me, if they have 3 or fewer security cards.
3 or fewer,
if they have 4 or more, trash the top card of the security stack. So a lot of interesting, ways this goes about, right? But when Digivolving, you may play 1 red tamer from your hand or a red Digimon with 5,000 DP or less. So I do very much like this Phoenixmon. I still think BT11 is the better one. I mean, that one's the super rare. This one's just a rare, right? So you got to think that one's better with that logic.
He used that Phoenixmon in kind of a slugfest last night in pre-release.
Yeah.
It was like hard drop a Cannondramon, and then someone would respond with the Phoenixmon hard drop, and then just kind of a back and forth thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So this is where I think people might start disagreeing, and rightfully so, because this is where I think personal preference comes into mind.
With tamers?
Like you could argue maybe putting in some Aquilamons. I did like the Aquilamons in
I remember that card.
BT13, but I think this is where the main disagreements and the main questions people are going to have with the deck are what are the tamers and the ratios that you play.
Yeah.
So I'm playing 4 of the Q. On play, reveal the top 4, add 1 red Digimon card with vaccine. So I really like the fact that this is my search engine, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm, grabbing all these red vaccine pieces. If you notice, everything is a red vaccine so far. So I'm not going to whiff, where the Aquilamon was a free.
Right.
And then what I also really like about this is that this is what gives rush. So I want to see it as a 4-of because I have so many ways to play bodies. In fact, BT15 added a whole nother way you may not even think of to play another Digimon with, and you want to be able to give them rush, kind of overwhelm them, kind of surprise them with just, wait, how wide and how fast did you go?
Yeah.
So that's my thought
I
process.
think the rush is probably one of the most important key factors of this deck for sure.
Absolutely. This is one where I think you could easily make the argument going down to 3, and I'm definitely not opposed to it. I've definitely been thinking about it myself. Start of your main, if you have a Digimon with bird stuff, gain 1 memory, right? So that's really nice. I'm unfortunately having to use my tamers as my trainings and my memory boost spots because of the fact that Akiyu searches, she gains me 1 memory a turn, so... but she also has a really cool ability. On play, one of your Digimon gains. On deletion, play a Biomon from hand or trash.
Oh, that's why you got 12 in there.
That's why I'm running 12, because I can recycle these Biomons. Again, if you play Biomon by an effect, you can bounce a Christie to hand, warp into Garuda, whether it's Garuda Ace to play a tamer, delete a blocker, to warp into this one, warp into the blocker, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of cool ways to do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea of trying to set up stacks with like Saberdramon, and then Saberdramon swings Raid Retaliation, but I have this tamer that did the on play, giving it the ability to play a BO. So I went from level 4 with Raid Retaliation, killed their biggest threat, played a BO, warped into Garuda, and so I'm actually higher than I was and got rid of their body.
Yeah.
A lot of cool combos. You just really have to tinker around with this deck. And this one, when I saw this, honestly, when I first saw the whole Phoenix line introduced in BT15, my first thought process was they were 2 separate decks. That you either kind of go maybe the Christie route or the Sora route. But then after playing with it, reading a bunch of these cards and realizing the room, synergy, and stuff that I had, you can play it all. It's great. So this one, start of your turn, is the memory setter. Sora is great. All turns. So this is, again, really interesting that it's all turns. It gives me more flexibility in my opponent's turn than we're used to in red decks. you may, excuse me, when a red Digimon card returns from the trash to hand, right? So, puts in trash, returns from trash. There's another card in the hand.
Egg does it.
The egg does it. There's all sorts of ways to do that, right? By returning this tamer, so part of the reason I'm playing 3, right? So you can trigger multiple instances of it, and the fact that, you can kind of recycle tamers with this area, right? You may play 3,000 DP or less red Digimon card with avian bird stuff, right?
Bird stuff, yep.
And then from your hand without paying the cost. For each of your opponent's security cards, remove 2,000 DP from the playable DP maximum. So it starts at 13,000, not 3,000, excuse me. And then, it goes from 5 securities, 13, 4 securities, 11, 3 securities, 9, so on, right? So this allows you to, all of a sudden, bam, another way to play Saberdramon.
Just get stronger and stronger
Part of the
later
reason
the
I'm
game
going
goes
3,
on. Yep.
Right? Another reason to play a blocker for free. Garudamon Ace with the on play. The fact that they gave us all of this synergy in a fun red toolbox type of deck that's birds. I mean, I'm so happy. I'm like ecstatic with this deck.
Well, I like the combination of the old Phoenixmon with the new egg because you can use that on deletion from the egg if you want to.
Yeah, like you just really need one piece back or whatever to trigger. Yeah. Lots of great stuff. And again, on deletions are really fun. Like if the stack actually were to be deleted, right, you choose the order of the on deletion.
Do a ton of stuff.
You can make it work in your favor, right? And this is a card where at first I was like, why the heck is every Japanese list of Biyomon Rush I'm seeing playing this? There's 2 of, a lot of them are playing as 4 ofs. And then I was really practicing with it, and I was like, wow, how do I play 5, right?
Yeah.
Like this, I mean, you could make the argument maybe to cut a Christie, go to 4 of this. I really like this card. Wings of Love. You may play 1 red tamer with a play cost of 4 or less. So it's a 2 cost. So you're already saving 2 memory
it's already
to play a free Sora. That's insane to me, right? Then if you have a red tamer with Sora in its name, return 1 red Digimon card from trash to hand. That can then trigger the Sora to play a body, right?
To do the thing.
Can you just imagine like the chain of events that'll happen? You play Wings of Love. You play, a Christie to give something on deletion. You play a Sora. You either return a different Sora, one that you just played. Play a Biyomon. Biyomon warps into Garuda. I mean, like, you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It just, for 2 memory. And so I really like getting this early game, especially when I'm trying to, like, set up my tamers early, instead of having to pay 4, because I don't, sometimes it's up at the level 5. So this is the deck. I do want to make an honorable mention. I was really tempted to play the new Zakao Ace. If it had an on play, I think it would 100% be in here instead of this. But it's not a vaccine. It is a virus.
Doesn't synergize as well.
But you can grab Sovereign, right? The bird stuff does say Sovereign. So, guys, I really like this list. I hope you guys get as much enjoyment out of it as I do, and I hope you guys test it and let me know in the comments what ratios you find to work for you, because I really do think this is kind of your personal opinion of what ratios you like.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much. Stay tuned.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.